Well, for Enterprise fans, we're here again. The table round marching on. A little bit of Sunday afternoon action here. We've got Dathus versus Bakashinobi today. Of course, I am Damarine too. I am joined today by the man, the myth, the legend, the finest voice of Free Enterprise, Rex Roll. Hi, Rex.
Oh, now I'm finest. Okay, I'll take that. No, I'm really looking forward to this race. There's a lot to be seen in these two runners, Dathus and Bakashinobi, and their routes to here couldn't be different, or more different, is what I mean. Bakashinobi went 3-0 in the group round to go right to the tables, whereas Dathus had to claw everything and got in on hook play-in number 2. So they're coming from very different places, and now we get to see what's going to happen here on the table. Really looking forward to this race.
Yeah, Dathus has had probably the least prep time of any of the runners in the top 32, honestly. Hopefully he's done some practice and snuck in some time because these flags are definitively a step up in difficulty from the group stage flags. Bakashinobi's had plenty of practice, but did take a loss already. And sitting here at 0-1, taking a loss to Possumorphous, and it was a really interesting race. So, Bach is still playing good, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, right now I'd say momentum is a little bit on Dathus' side because of that big win against a huge field versus Baka's loss. But that practice time is real, and this is a very different flag set in a couple key parts than what Dathus has been used to in his races.
Yep, of course, Bakashinobi looking to not fall to 0-2. You're probably looking at 4 wins to need to make it through to the top 16 without too much of a concern. 3-3 puts you in the threat of tiebreaker land, which is not really where you want to end up. So this race is real important for Baka. I mean, it's real important for Dathus as well to get off to a good start. So we'll kind of see how this breaks down, as these two runners are going to probably break out of the gate in about a minute here.
Yeah, they'll be going off pretty soon, and we've got a couple of objectives here that can be done right away as well, especially that defeat the boss of the Mist Cave, one of the easiest bosses in the game. As far as stats goes, there are certain bosses that can still throw a curveball in there, and the defeat the bosses of Baron Inn is another one that's going to be available from the start. It's going to depend on what characters are available, what items are available, and if we have to get some levels before taking on that one. Some bosses are really easy there, and others can be very difficult.
The only nice thing is that the other objective other than Forge, which has been on for every race, is Trade Away the Pinktail, which does require 2 key items, requires a Pinktail and a hook. So there's a potential that, you put like a Pinktail and an Adamant up on the moon behind hard bosses. We could be here a while. There's still the potential for this to not jet out of control, which is nice.
And we see our first two characters. Edward is going to be required because he's the first character and he's already in the party. Everybody else, you have the option of passing on, and then you can pick them up later in the city if you like. Demerid, what do you do when you start with an Edward?
Um, well, you look for better characters first. Edward is a character that can wield some bows, but unlike, because we have S Pro on, you can't go and buy an elven bow. You can't buy super top tier arrows out of non-gated shops anymore. So, you're probably looking to sort of fortify your party with a couple of characters that could actually deal out some damage, set up Edward to agility anchor potentially. The flip side of the coin, if you find like a dancing dagger or a decent bow, Edward can at least get you through the early game. But you're not very excited about this. This is the start that's sort of gotten a lot of runners sort of worked up the most this tournament.
Yeah, some of the objectives here are a little bit favorable to the runners, as I mentioned, with them being available right off the top. But the characters are a little bit weak. But we do get Sid here in the Watery Pass. Now, there's somebody who could do some decent damage in the early part of the game without a whole lot of help.
Yeah, comes in with levels, which is nice. Comes in with an Earth Hammer, which is nice. Bakashinobi decides to say, I'm not going to waste my time. Give me the old man. Dathus takes a pass, though, and they both go in step-for-step looting here.
Yeah, I think the decision of which characters to take and when to take them is a very interesting game to play here in the table flags. Also, finding that cursed ring in the waterfall room, very nice boon for the runners today.
Yeah, we talk a lot about agility and how Cursed Ring drops a character's agility by 15, which lets you set up for success in terms of making sure that you can take on really fast bosses. It's also really nice for anchoring like an Edward strat fight. There's a Crystal Ring, a rare find here, a very nice item to see. Um, like this is interesting because this may set us up for like if this seed does turn out to be Jetty, like we dropped Pink Tail in an early pass, and we're talking about doing Edward strats to finish out the seed. That's a good find too.
Without a doubt, very strong items being found so far. Not a whole lot as far as helping with Edward to be able to do a whole lot of useful things in battle, but we do have Sid available to us if we want him as well.
Yeah, alongside the curse string, we're a pack of charm arrows. So again, potentially finding like an archer bow in shops means that Edward might be able to push you through a couple of fights here. So it's an interesting start. It's not a good start. I don't think either of our runners are still terribly happy yet, but Baka is certainly been on Team Sid these flags, so hopefully that pays off.
I've seen a lot more love for Sid in this flag set, especially compared to the group flag set that we saw earlier.
I mean, we were talking about it in the booth before we got started, which is you got to have two big things here. You got to route yourself out of the early game, and you got to be able to grind. You got to be able to finish, right? You either need to
Yeah.
secure a grind or have like these backup Zeroma strats in your back pocket. Uh, Sid gets you out of the early game, right? Sid definitely rates for pushing through the first 5, 6 bosses without too much of a concern. You find like an ogre axe, and now you're secure for like Mac Giant grinding, for doing underground. Options start getting real good.
Plus, his strength is good enough, and the equipment pool that's drawn to him is wide enough that oftentimes, even if you use him with a curse string as an anchor, he can still deal some damage in the final fight as well. He's never going to come up like Cecil numbers or anything like that, but he could do some damage if necessary. He can throw items, and his survivability is super high with his HP pool too. So he doesn't provide nothing at the end of the game, even if he's not ideal.
Yeah, neither runner wanting the Cecil from Dempsey in there. No surprise. First major bit of divergence since Bakashinobi has the Sid. He feels he can safely dip into the Antlion Cave while Dathus is still, hauling around the world here trying to figure out what characters he wants. He definitely didn't want the Yang at the top of Hobbs there.
With another one already waiting in the Tower of Wishes, not too shocked that you don't want to just take that fight. Now we've got somebody that looks like a Porum, and who's the second character? Rydia. So we got a white mage and a black mage available to the party as well now.
Man, this is not ideal. Certainly, I mean, you know, Dathus is maybe looking to set up a later slingshot or something. Takes the white mage. It looks like took Porum there.
Yeah, and might be picking up that Sid now. Now that he's got a bit more knowledge as to exactly who's available. Yeah, it looks like Porum and Sid are going to be his partners through this early part of the game.
Yep, Baka does not have that yet because did not push through, but has a Blizzard here for the Mega Sisters, which is going to do damage proportional to Sid's current health, which is, 788. So it's going to quickly kill off the two sisters and then just tag Cindy with the hammer and get through this real quick.
Yeah, very efficiently routed fight there. Those J items that do damage are a lot. You're a lot less likely to find a bunch of them now than we were before as well. A lot of the availability of items has been reworked in the T Pro and S Pro flags.
Yep, pass on deck there for Bakashinobi. So doing the early check here adds one piece of the Jet Seed puzzle to the board here. We are a pink tail away from go mode.
That's crazy to think of, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we could be like looking at this Sid being kind of like the tournament MVP for a lot of players. He might get a lot of work this evening here for us, so we'll see.
If we do get that pink tail shortly, this might be a prime seed for Eddie strats as well with that forced Edward start.
Yeah, Ludaton pick up. The only thing is that you don't get vampires easily because they are underground. So you end up having to do it with like Sid swings and to sort of prime the pump to go with like Star Veils, and then start getting Zeromus to like nuke your Edward, and it's a process. It's really cool, but it's a process.
Yeah, and it's expensive too. You have to buy a lot of Star Veils for that in order to get through the fight, especially if you're not going to be relying on vampires. So now Bakashinobi getting those mage options available to him. We'll see if he decides to also let the White Wizard join or decides to wait on him and just roll with Sid and Edward. And indeed, he just keeps the two characters that he was with before. Might want to. There's still a free character in Mount Ordeals that we haven't seen, and nobody's gone into the Baron Inn to peek the character there either. So there still are a couple places where if there's other characters, maybe Rosa or Palom for alternate mages that are available, you might want to wait until he knows whether or not they're going to be an easy option.
Yep, Chad also mentioned that the hook character does exist as well as an option,
Good point.
which is a good one there. Dathus finds dancing orbs here at the Mist Cave, takes them down pretty quickly, checks for a little bit of loot, lights up an objective about 7.5 minutes, which is probably about an hour and a half faster than most of the races we've seen at this point, and we're marching on.
Yeah, gonna check to see if this Baron Inn might be doable at this point, possibly. Gonna do a little bit of shopping first, but I can't imagine going into Baron Inn and not at least taking a look in the inn. Ooh, and we do see Old Man Tella as the character in the Baron Inn, hidden behind the alternate gauntlet, and Dathus wants to give it a shot.
This is not optimal. Certainly, these crocodiles hit fairly hard, and they double strike. So like these fights are not jokes, especially without any ability to sweep them up pretty quickly here. Uh, Sid's gonna have to do a lot of work to get through these fights. This is gonna take a while.
Yeah, this is the sort of thing where you'd like to have a black mage that can do some AoE spell damage, or possibly you wouldn't get him in this flag set, but Edge with his flame attack could wipe up a lot of these fights. But barring that, maybe a second twin to do twin magic here too. There's things that could work, but we just don't have access to them here, and so you're just going to be relying on Sid swinging the hammer. And yeah, Dathus realizes that even if I can get through this, I've got a whole nother fight after this, and my Sid is even going to be very depleted after this.
Yeah, you get the starter kit with a handful of cure twos, but it's just not worth doing that right now. The consideration is maybe you go searching, you change your shop plan maybe, because a lot of the enemies there are weak against ice. Electfish weak against ice, crocodiles weak against ice, alligators weak against ice. That actually is a good gauntlet for spamming notices, interestingly enough.
Being aware of what's available in shops and when it's the right time to buy something that you might not want to buy, that or you might not be on your regular shopping list, I'll put it that way, is one of those skills that can really help make a seed that could possibly be really nerve-wracking as far as the potential for a Jetness to go more in your favor.
Yeah, so unfortunate for Bakashinobi here, checking the character down and finding Sid 2, the sequel. Does not want Sid 2, the sequel, and it's going to be heading back to the save point here. See what the game plan is for Baka. This is interesting.
This might be a looting of here and just want to reset if he gets the Staleman.
Yeah, because the Stalemen are pretty awful to fight. They're only worth 2,100 experience each. They deal crushing amounts of damage. Like you said, is he just going to reset this here instantly? Yeah, that is instantaneous reset. He's like, well, now I know where it is. I'm going to do the rest of this stuff, because it's good stuff. It's tier up because this is gated, so he's going to maybe try to take advantage of that.
And a very nice place to find it, right next to the save point, means that now on the way out, you can loot every treasure chest, and there's not going to be any more danger in them. It's just value.
Speaking of value, there is that dancing dagger plucked out of the chest, so Edward is, available to do a little bit more damage in these fights at this point.
I would say he's upgraded to not useless.
I still want him dead, but maybe a little less so.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, Dathus does not choose to crack the blizzard here that he picked up a little while ago, so he's going to actually work through the Mega Sisters a little bit more directly here. Nothing interesting in the armor shop. Weapon shop has an ogre axe for sale. Is it time to sell the house for an ogre axe? I think the answer is yes.
It looks like that's what Baka's doing with all this selling right now. Had some decent equipment in there. Oh, but no, maybe it was an item. He might have checked the item shop on the way in, but no, doesn't go either. Just sell some stuff, make sure that the doesn't have to fight against the inventory boss.
That is also a man who did not have enough stuff in his inventory to make 45,000 gold. Let's be real.
Well, I didn't do the math fast enough because, well, I just didn't. So, but we're getting an Evelyn Castle check. Really interesting choice here. Maybe to try to gain the funds to get that ogre axe.
I mean, ogre axe is basically one of Sid's best weapons because it's an axe with good accuracy, which is really hard to find. And then if you
Yeah.
want to do like mad ogres, or if you want to do D machine or not D machines, I mean, we know D machines are going to be on the table over Mac Giants. But there's an Earth Hammer too. That's a good pickup.
If you've got an Earth Hammer in hand, do you still want to spend that 45K on the ogre axe? What's the appeal for you there?
I mean, Earthhammer then is just like Earthhammer just tells me just go do everything. Like it just says, all right, cool. Sid can now go do Baron Inn. Sid can do Ordeal. Sid can do Escape. Can do Football Gauntlet. Sid can do everything. And we mentioned needing a sweeper for the gauntlet, the alternate gauntlet there. Hold the Earthhammer high above your head and do 250 damage quakes and just blast through there too. Yeah, no, that's it. Let's leave. We're done. That's good.
Yeah, I imagine if Dathus had found that chest, it had gone to Evelyn Castle and found that, he'd be zipping right back to the Baron Inn after that. Looks like he might be zipping back to the Baron Inn either way because that's where he's parked right now.
Yeah, let's see what his sec is taking another shot here. He's going to crack the blizzard to get through the first fight.
The nice thing about this alt gauntlet being here is all of these fights are going to give him experience throughout it. He's going to end up getting a lot more experience through this alt gauntlet than the 2 Baron Guards that you normally fight here.
The thing is, he bought Thor Rages. Thor Rages are going to be a little bit less efficient. I mean, you're going to start throwing them and it'll be fine. The only enemy they have to worry about again are the Elect Fish. Fang Shells are weak to Thunder, though, so, not bad. It'll work out at the end of the day, so he's currently going to push through with just item usage here.
Yeah, the Fang Shells and I believe the Pikes, I think they're still in this one, are weak to lightning, but yeah, those Elect Fish, they kind of like it when you use Thor Rages on them. They do have Elec in the name.
Yeah, Baka mops up the orbs real quick. Grabs there's a rune ring there in Mist Cave, so that's actually kind of exciting for the end game. But yeah, there's those Elect Fish sort of sitting there going, this is funny.
Oh, it's piranhas. The Pikes are in the old waterway, so I got my pea fish mixed up.
Like there's a lot of fish out of the water here in Final Fantasy IV for some silly reason, so.
Baka now parking outside of Baron, going to get the news that we've got this alt gauntlet here, but he's going to have that Earth Hammer available to him, which he can use as an item for that low level quake that you mentioned before. That could really help getting through this gauntlet fast.
Yeah, and the thing that's real interesting here is that in terms of checks, both players are at the same number of checks completed. They've both done Antlion, they've both done Mist Cave because it was required. But Baka has that full and complete loot of the Evelyn Cave and an Evelyn Castle check under his belt here. So off to a pretty great start here. He's going to set up with Sid in the back row now. So just decides to very quickly back row his Sid because he just doesn't want to take all these melee attacks and
Yeah.
use that Earth Hammer to get the job done second time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because if you know you're going to be using that as an item, you don't need to worry about the less damage from the back row that you'd be dealing, and you can take the advantage of the extra defense in the back row too. So, heads up, making that reset right away, recognizing the problem and setting up for better success. Also has that damage, that dancing dagger to help finish off the crocodile there too. So, um, well set up, despite only having two characters to Dathus's three.
Yeah, I think this sort of does show off the power of this shows off the power of taking a deeper loot early in the seed potentially. Of course, Edward's not going to stand up terribly long, but the Earth Hammer is going to get this done. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and the extra survivability in the back row is also going to be very important here. That was a smart move because you see that the monsters are doing some damage to death as Sid there in the front row has been having to spend some time reviving so that they can keep Sid healthy as well. So it's just a little bit more resources that are going to be depleted through Dathus' fight, but it looks like he's getting through it too.
Yeah, Aquaworm is the last fight, and this fight, of course, gets completely dropped by Thor Rages, so it'll be fine. Also, Electfish fly.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. They're not in the water right now.
Yeah, no, they're literally flying. They're immune to Earth Elemental.
Well, I knew that that's what you meant, but I'm just trying to like they don't have legs.
I mean, that fish doesn't have anything anymore because we had a quick change to we had a quick swap to the bow there really quickly to a back row glitch your Sid. He has to take an action if you do it in combat, but also did 1220 damage.
That's also good prep for the second fight, and it's gonna be Octomam that we see over there. This is actually like Octomam is a very like only does physical attacks, and that's generally what's scary here. But the fact that it loses speed throughout the course of the fight, and this is a relatively slow start to begin with, means it's not as scary as it could be here. Putting in that illusion is going to really help too.
Yeah, otherwise it'll just be Sid doing some very unexciting A holding here for a minute, some Thor rages to help pull down the tentacles, just to remove any sort of action economy from Octomom here.
But like most things in life, the illusion does not last forever. So now it just needs to make sure that Sid stays healthy throughout this fight, and Dathus should be able to get through this. Bakashinobi's going to be not far behind at this point. And he's got the advantage of a back row glitched Sid, which is um, a lot more survivable in this fight.
Yeah, I mean the thing is he's going to take some hits here for in the mid hundreds, to 220s. I think probably I'll top out. But he's getting some good damage rolls here, so he's going to probably have to heal once he gets around 300 health for safety. But, a couple of swings away and he should be in good shape.
Also, lucky for Dathus, this Octomam is another fight where that Thor Rage is letting Porum do some things when she doesn't have to heal Sid too. So able to whittle down the HP a little bit faster by virtue of those items that he had bought for the other fight, not even knowing that Octomam was here. So worked out in his favor without a doubt.
I mean, faster is relative here because also within Earthhammer, Bakashinobi Sid is actively doing basically the same amount of damage that that Dathus' team is doing per cycle, as you can see, because this fight is over.
Oh, I meant just faster than what it would have been, not faster than Baka's team, because that Earthhammer is really nice.
Yeah, that Earthhammer is going to carry this early game, and as it is shown. But Baka does get a little bit ahead here, but Dathus clears out the terrible calamari as well. Both runners, I'm pretty sure, going to be taking Tella. Tella being like S plus tier in these flags for some silly reason or another.
Yeah, these characters that were once a member of the Reject Percent team about a year and a half ago are now the ones that you really want You want this Sid, you want this Tella. This is a whole different free enterprise than what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, Dathus though takes a pass right now, so ends up ditching Tella for now. We'll
I
see if he
wonder if
goes maybe when he gets the Darkness Crystal in hand or done with ordeals.
yeah, it could be something like that. Like if you've got the Porum, so you're going to get the utility white magic spells that Tella is really well known for, even without completing ordeals. But if you end up getting that pink tail really early, and you have to go to Eddie strats, Tella's not going to do a whole lot of good there, anyways. I don't know, but it might be waiting until he gets that Darkness Crystal in hand, is like you said. Then he knows that the D Machine grind will be on the table then.
This is probably going to be a point of heavy divergence as Baka decides that with this Sid and just this Sid and Edward, and I guess an unleveled Tella, right, unpromoted Tella, is just immediately zipping into Baron Castle.
Yeah, this is some aggressive play here. Hasn't gone to ordeals yet, which I think is oftentimes people's preferred choice when they get that Tella in their party, just so that his capabilities are opened up. But Death is also going right into this dungeon as well. So both of our runners deciding this is the play.
They want that character check this
Yeah.
badly. They also knew that this was a blue king, which of course is King and Queen of Evelyn. So both runners knew that this was 100% completely free.
And truth be told, the second fight here, the Vanilla Kinazo spot, isn't generally considered one of the more difficult bosses of the first half of the seeds. Um, so figuring like this Baigen spot is generally more dangerous, I think. So that we have a free boss here means like, okay, I think I've got a reasonable chance of being able to beat this even at these low levels.
Yeah, plus it'll give you a couple levels on your Sid, it'll give you a couple levels on your Edward without really having to do too much. For Dathus, it'll help get some levels onto the Porum and get her to the utility that you were speaking about earlier. Looks like Bak is going to take a chance to just quickly cure up the party in combat here before heading into the second fight. And it looks like along the way down, it looks like there was an axe that Dathus picked up on the way down. I think it was there was a poison axe for sale in the Baron weapon shop. I don't know if he bought one or if he decided to grab one out of a chest on the way down.
I think there was one in the chest in the Baron weapon shop too. At any rate, that poison axe, as long as it sits in the middle row, that's a pretty good weapon for him at this part of the game.
And of course, boss number 2 here is ooh.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate.
I mean, if Baka can hide his Edward here before a turn goes off, he's okay. Like now he knows that none of his characters are going to die.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to catch a paralysis here, which is unfortunate, but you know, his characters will live, and that's what matters most. Oh, and Sid has a crystal ring, so just outright avoids the paralysis, so can just throw a Star Veil. Fight's free.
Yeah, this is really, really well set up for Baka here. I'm not sure what Dathus's equips are, or if he's set up to get that hide from Edward, just like Baka was. But yeah, this is really well set up for by Bakashinobi without even knowing that Golbez was going to be there.
Oh yeah, and since he has an Earth Hammer equipped, Earth Hammer's Fire Elemental and will do quad damage to Golbez too, on top of all of that.
Yeah, that's a more fortunate things falling into his lap for this Golbez fight. Really very nice here for Bakashinobi, going to be able to defeat this Golbez without too much problem here. Just Sid is going to do it all.
And even better, Tella's dead, so not going to get any extra levels on Tella here either.
Dathus also has that crystal ring on Sid, however, not able to get Edward to hide. Hopefully, this demolish will. Oh, it hits Sid.
Oh, that's
That's
bad. This is bad
that's
times.
yeah, that's the 1 and 3 roll. That's unfortunate. But Bakashinobi through Galvez, we're going to get another peek at a character and another key item check here.
Bakashinobi making it look easy. On the other side here, Dathus is looking kind of dead. That's unfortunate.
And we see the last save outside of Baron. So, yeah, that is an unfortunate reset right there.
So Baka takes a notable lead here because of just having it, even completely unintentionally, having completely the right setup to do the Golbez fight really easily.
Absolutely. Everything went his way. And Dathus, even though he wasn't set up quite as well, also got unlucky with that 1 and 3 hit on the demolish on Sid. If it would have hit either Edward or Tella, I think Dathus was set up to win that fight too.
Yeah, would have gotten the Star Veil up on Sid before the first spell came out. It would have been fine. I don't know if an Hourglass 2 in the trash bin is really trash at this point in time, but, you know, it's what you get.
If it's not going to be a key item, you want it to be a very useful item. And Hourglass 2s in this particular flag set are very hard to come by. So that's going to be very nice if there's going to be a boss that's susceptible to it at a key point later this seed.
So yeah, so Baka's going to strap the cursed ring onto the Tella here, who is dead and now anchoring at 1 agility. Maybe he's hoping to find a freebie down here. You know, he's got that Hourglass now. You find, like, dancing dolls. You can just Hourglass them and Earth Hammer them to death, maybe. How about Water Hag? Is Water Hag a good free boss? Are you here for this?
Well, I'm going to at least try. I'm not sure exactly how well the defense for Sid is going to hold up here. In the back row, he could probably take a hit or two. If he can take 2 hits, then I think he wins this fight.
Oh, yeah, easy peasy.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
There we go. So Baka taking this check and gonna cash out for another free check here in a normally brutal spot.
Yeah, very well played there by Baka by going right back in and setting up for this as well. And yet again, not rewarded with a key item. A very nice rod, the best rod in the game, the Stardust rod, but not a key item. But at least, like that Hourglass before, if it's not going to be a key item, at least it's something useful.
Yeah, it's a tier 6 item at least. And yeah, it looks like so Dathus is going in with just an outright dead Edward here, which makes a ton of sense, honestly. Just
yeah.
Force Golbez to do nothing. Don't mess with agility. Don't mess with anything. Just kill your Edward.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, just posturing and letting Galvez talk a bit, and then that'll be about it.
Yeah. Speaking of characters, though, the character that was in the Baron Castle was Edward. So good luck with that, I guess.
Yeah, if you have the need to have multiple bards on your team here, there's not really any upside for that. This flag set are really, I think there are very few flag sets where I think having multiple Edwards is going to be a good thing.
Unless I can have like multiple Artemis bows and like many Artemis and mute arrows, I'm not generally that super excited.
Even if I do, there's other characters I'd have before Edward. But at any rate, it's time for Baka to power up that old man. Is finally heading over to Mount Ordeals.
Yeah, and of course with the setup here, Death is having no problem with the Man of Laughter. Even going to try to keep Porum alive here.
Yeah, getting her those early levels, trying to get her to learn like Berserk, Exit, Size. Well, she already has Slow, but there's a lot of those Blink, that are just useful utility spells that you're kind of sacrificing by not picking up that Tela.
You want engineers? Because we got engineers.
Lots of duplicates being seen today. I mean, you see a lot of duplicates in a lot of these seeds as well, so not too odd, but still not a whole lot of options. I mean, you've got like the maybe some would say worse alternative. You got Porum, you don't have Rosa. You have Rydia, you don't have Palom. You got Sid, you don't have Kane. You know, these are kind of the things that you're dealing with in this seed. But you are given Tela.
You missed one there, though. You've got Yang instead of an empty spot in your party.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, everybody here has been making the wrong decision, not taking the standout best character in all of Free Enterprise, with no exceptions. So, I mean,
But
both these
Fusoya,
runners are clearly terrible.
but Fusoya's been banned from this tournament. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm real confused.
Dathus now completed the Liberation of Baron, decides not to go right back in, is not going to see that Water Hag. Luckily for him, it's not going to be a required key item or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, Stardust Rod would be nice, but you know, again, not exactly what you want. Does get Tela to a point where he is like super useful in this fight, though. So Tela's throwing those Stardusts out is actually really handy for those ordeals. And of course, you want that sweet, sweet taste of vanilla.
Having Dathus in this race himself, he's got a passion for vanilla, so he'll like to see that if he decides to climb Mount Ordeals. But it looks like he's going to do some shopping over in Toria right now.
Not sure what we're looking for yet. I mean, I don't think we found. We not found them. We found life potions, cure twos. There's star veils if you need more star veils. Which good to know if you're pondering Edward strats. It's good to know where those star veils are.
Yeah, just even having the knowledge there with what we've already completed. We've got 2 out of the 3 required objectives done already. Only need 1 more. We're a pink tail away from go mode, as we've mentioned before. So just getting the knowledge of where those star veils are is going to help, especially if there's other things that you're looking to purchase at this time as well.
Also, I looked away from Baka's screen, and Mylan Z does not take well. Probably allergic to the Earth Hammer, honestly. I think it's an allergy, and just gets destroyed.
Yeah, he's immune to Quake, but the Earth Hammer itself is definitely fire elemental, not earth elemental. There is no earth elemental in Final Fantasy IV. So, yeah, the Earth Hammer does real good work against Mylan Z. And it looks like now Dathus is going to take that dip into Evelyn, or, well, at least was teasing it. But going to go to Ordeals first, I guess.
Yeah, which at the top of Ordeals, if you want that sweet, sweet taste of vanilla again, there's a Legend Sword waiting for you there in the Legend Sword room. So,
well, that means we are either a pink tail or an adamant away from go mode now.
Yeah, I mean, we would also, for Forging the Crystal, we'd also need to make our way underground, so we'd have to probably go through the hook route, which is, you know, a thing.
Yeah.
But
we'd have what we need. It might not be the fastest way to get there, especially depending on. We saw a peek of the boss, and I don't even remember what it was in the Rubicante spot.
see, Chad, of course, is talking about this second Mylan being French vanilla, and that's not how you should be talking about this. This is double Mylan all the way across Mount Ordeals.
2 scoops of Mylan.
However, it's not terribly intense as Mylan gets dropped by that Stardust Rod, and we're out of here. So, Baka's got upgraded Tela at this point.
So at this point, we've got, we could go down the hook route. We could do, I don't think either of our runners have done the full defense, and we could go hunting for a Mist Dragon, but I think those are our options at this point in time.
Yeah, the world is starting to get pretty small here, and of course, knowing that there's no character waiting for you down there, it's like Sid, and so you've got like you've got bad character options at this point. Like, does Baka add the Porum to his party grudgingly? Does Dathus decide maybe to audible into like double Sid, or is he still keeping room for Tella? We don't know. It's real interesting.
A lot of that is going to depend on what the key item is, and if it's a key item from this Fabul defense that we're going to see from Bakashinobi very shortly here. With this party, you might have to think about doing some more trap chests for experience as well, depending on how difficult those bosses in the hook route prove to be.
Yeah, I mean, otherwise Baka very comfortably extending his lead. Dathus, of course, has no problem with the Antlion. He's going to stare down this Mylan Z. It's going to take a little bit longer, but, Cure 2s from Porum actually do nice DPS on this fight, so, could apply that. Gonna get that Zerk on as well, so it should be good times.
That is one thing that's going to be very nice for Dathus, having access to that Berserk spell. And that's kind of the thing that Bakashinobi didn't have that here. He did have the Earth Hammer, though, which is crazy good against Mylon Z, but Dathus proving that it doesn't take a lot longer for him to win here.
And again, Berserking up, getting some healing going, and yeah, that's not a really healthy spot, so just works through it. No problem. So Dathus is going to get a Legend Sword as well in just a moment, and should be feeling pretty good.
Bakashinobi with his full power Tella able to route that evil wall at Fabul without too much of a problem. And now we're going to see what a Dark Knight left the King of Fabul here a long time ago. Some Artemis bows. So yeah, we are at Hunt for Demist or resign yourself to the hook route.
Yeah, I think no early Darkness Crystal either. The funnel is real here. There's nothing left.
So yeah, this is a hook seed with some like Sid. We mentioned at the top of the broadcast is great for the early part of the seed. We're getting to the part of this a seed where Sid's like DPS output is becoming a little bit less than ideal, especially if we're going for this hook route.
I mean, it'll be interesting for sure. I mean, we have a coffin. We grabbed a coffin. There's a coffin and a chest on the way down for in Fabul. We've got an hourglass. We've got some interesting tools to work with. That Porum could be key here, though. Thinking about things, right? Having access to that, slightly higher utility mage. I mean, Tella does the same thing in a lot of ways, so we'll see. These are basically the same party with slightly different characters at this point, but we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, looking at the difference of Tella versus Porum, Porum has like a bit better like healing stats. But I think the bigger thing is going to be she has a much better MP pool, and if this ends up being like really long fights, you might have to waste turns using ethers in order to keep Tella topped off if you're going to be relying on his magic. Whereas Porum might be able to get through a longer fight without that sort of thing. But the flip side is, if you need the black magic, Tella's got you covered there, and Porum does not. Looks like Bakashinobi not interested in opening chests, not trying to find the Mad Ogre chest. Might want to understand who's going to be that boss in the King Queen spot first before making a decision of what needs to be done here. Seeing if it's something that can be done with his party as is.
I mean, gonna take a minute here to gear up, certainly. It's gonna be pretty. Looks like the game plan is gonna be pretty reliant on the Tella Sid combo here. Nothing terribly great in terms of armor, but Sid with that crystal ring is gonna be in pretty good shape. Gonna put Edward in the middle with the cursed ring for anchoring. So this is gonna take some safeties here to set up for whatever may be on the way here.
It's tough because Sid, your primary damage dealer, you'd like to get him the accuracy boost that you get for the middle position. However, you want to make sure you've got your timing right by having a good anchor in the middle. Turns out that it's Leviathan, not a physical attacker here. Probably one of the bosses that you really don't mind seeing in this spot.
Yeah, especially with Tella up and fully online, that Lit 3 will do a bunch of damage, assuming Tella survives. And, since those Ice 2s are hitting for 77, things are looking pretty good.
This spot not known well for its magic stat. The vanilla King Queen Evelyn spot, those Fire 2s don't hit for much. Lit 3 does a good job of cleaning up the Leviathan there. And so now Bakashinobi just has to deal with this Bahamut.
I mean, he's got Wall on Tella, he's got Starveils, he's got the ability to maybe hide Edward if necessary. Should be well within the realm of reason here to pull this off.
As long as there's no like mistiming issues and having walls run out when you don't want it to, you're right, it should be fine. Opting to Berserk Sits, not going to be relying on Starveils. They're going to be depending on the casting of Wall from Tella here.
Yeah, the tough thing is now he's got to get a Starveil up on Tella as well, which shouldn't be a problem. Should be able to get it at 1 here. I mean, is he just going to let Tella die? He might let Tella die here, and just have Sid by himself. Berserk just doling out the pain here.
And then we do have Edward just in case. He can pop out if need be and throw on a Starveil.
Yeah, gonna have Tella Wall himself here, hide the Edward. Probably will have to verify if the Wall is still available on Sid or not, but we'll see.
And those MP concerns becoming real as he's using a Psych on Bahamut here.
Yep, Wall's still up though, does the big 10 grand. King of all dragons is now the King of Ash. And at about 44 minutes and change here, Bakashinobi is going to breach the underground.
Yeah, well played there by Bakashinobi. Was not phased by this boss at all. Knew what he had to do in order to get through it, and everything went clean. So now when you're in the underworld, we've got a couple of free checks that we can do. We've got another character that we can check in Dwarf Castle, but we don't have any of the rabbit hole underground items. We don't have the Luca key, we don't have the tower key, and we don't have the pan. So we're still a bit limited in what we could do in the underworld.
Yeah, we got the power to do Dwarf Castle for still checking for characters. So that's a-okay and fine. The tower boss at the top of Lower Tower Babel was the original Sin Turtle Kainatsu, which is not a very exciting boss to see there, because that's actually a spot where most bosses are not dangerous, and Kainatsu's like, yeah, I'm still good.
Yeah.
Dathus here, 45 minutes, touches the save point here at the bottom of Upper Babel. The big thing here is, what's his plan here for this boss?
I think he should be okay through this Leviathan fight, because the Ice 2s aren't very scary. It just won't be as fast because he doesn't have access to that Lit 3 that really did a big chunk of the damage for Bakashinobi. Looks like we got the Twin Harp in the vanilla rat tail chest, so that does open up music for us. We'll see if any of our runners decide to go that way. It is, of course, not one of our objectives by itself, um, and it is a pretty long check for one potential key item, but it is there.
So we've already seen a lot of free bosses, so seeing a Baigen in the Asura spot, that's bad, and then seeing what ends up being Rubicant here in the
Oof.
Leviathan spot, that's not good. Uh, ooh.
Yeah, those are definitely not free bosses.
Baka looking for that exit spell. Get me out of here. I got easier checks. I got a date with Kainazo at the top of the tower, for goodness sakes.
Yeah, a lot of easy bosses in the overworld, a lot of difficult bosses here in the underworld so far.
Yeah, and you know how many lunar bosses we've seen so far this seed?
Oh, have we seen any?
It's been 0, not a 1.
Wow.
D-Lunars who can be some pretty nasty hitting are still out there. Ogopogo still waits in the wings. Wyvern still hungry.
And so Bakashinobi makes the visit down Sylph Cave to trigger the first key item with his wife Sheila in Kabul. Looks like he's going back to Overworld. I imagine that's where he's going right now. Get the free key item potential check, and then after that, it's going to be the choice of where to go after that.
So yeah, so Baka just checking freebies here. Dathus did take the safety save before Bahamut, just to be safe. Got 5-star Veils in the back pocket, so should be good on that front at least. So should be well within the realm of reason to get this taken care of at this point.
Yeah, the only real difference is doesn't have access to that wall spell just in case from Tella. Baka being able to save a couple of star veils by utilizing the spell instead of the item. So, but I think we're in pretty good shape here on Dathus' side here.
Yeah, we get a cat's claw from Sheila, who's just like, "Hey, this is Yang's favorite weapon. You should bring it to him." And then Baka's like, "No," and decides to just leave it behind.
The best weapon for the best character. I mean, that seems pretty good to me.
I mean, look, if we're all allowed to have opinions on whether or not Rose is the best character in the game, she is. So we move on with things. Also, the nice thing about this is that by going to do music here, Baka ran through the underground beforehand and got the Twin Heart from Feymarch. So is at 1 hit point on all of his characters, which will help, speed up the Dark Elf cutscene, which is kind of nice.
It's one of those little bit of routing choices, just knowing where you're at as far as your party is. Like, I'm really weak right now. Hey, it's actually not that bad of a time to do that music check. So, taking stock of what's available to you in terms of your party resources, and sometimes being low on hit points is good, both for a situation like this and in another situation where, like, if you happen to have Paladin Cecil and you want to do some covering, having all your characters really low hit points, those damage tiles are actually oftentimes more beneficial than hurtful when it comes to free enterprise.
Yep, Dathus has to burn through 4-star Veils there, uses a second volley of Star Veils, but reflecting 10,000 damage worth of Mega Nukes onto Bahamut twice gets you most of the way there at least. So fight's over. Dathus is going to get underground at about 51 minutes, so about 6 minutes behind.
Yeah, so it's still a pretty close fight. Decides to take the Mad Ogre chest afterwards, so it's going to get another potentially good piece of item or equipment and a little bit extra experience as well.
Yeah, I think again he's been sort of riding on this Porum this entire seed as sort of the backbone of the party, and it's been sort of the game plan. So we'll see how that continues going here.
But just about now, we're going to be quiet for a little bit because it's right about that time. You know it, you love it. It's time for DJ Spoonie B's Rockin' Tunes.
Wait, do I really have to be quiet? That seems hard.
Yeah, it's tough, but don't worry, you can be loud after.
Fantastic. Man, did you know that even with all the magic defense in this spot, that hitting Odin with Lightning 3, it doesn't matter. Odin gets fried.
Odin does not like lightning, but we get the Darkness Crystal. Very nice pickup from Bakashinobi here in Cave Magnus.
There's like no chance in the world that he does those Fey March bosses without grinding at this point in time, so...
Yeah. The only other thing that I think he might want to do is Dwarf Castle for the character check before a grind. But that, I mean, I think that's it. He could just pick up a couple characters and grind right now, anyways.
Like this is a potential slingshot Porum, slingshot Rydia setup.
Rydia, yeah.
Yeah, this is the good stuff. This is what, when you get the Darkness Crystal, this is why you've been keeping 2 party spots open the entire time.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that's probably what's in the cards. I just think that the only like kind of argument is you could make a case for going to Dwarf Castle first, but that's, I think if we had found some other pieces of equipment, if we had like a Dragoon Lance or a Defense Sword or a Excalibur in our thing, then you might want to get for one of those characters. But yeah, I think grabbing a couple mages and slingshotting them, that seems really good now.
Moon character, Lord Goober mentioning, is still in play as well now, because we do have the whale. Maybe you pop up there and see who's there, just in case if it's something to your liking, I guess. But I mean, otherwise, like, levels solve everything, right? Like, if you've got
They
two,
do.
if you've got 2 big ticket casters in your party, um, you can do Zeromas that way. It's just a little slow and requires a little bit of setup, but you could do like a double reflect with Sid, and then use Sid to help push you to the 16,000 line there. Pyrelite also mentioning the Yang slingshot. We could slingshot Yang.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best choice for anyone. But I tend to agree with your original thoughts. The Porum and the Rydia that are sitting in the Tower of Wishes seem to be uh, the best situated for this particular party's setup and what we want to do going forward in this seed as well. Well, we'll see what Baka's the one who makes the ultimate decision here.
He's going for characters. He looks at Yang. He walks away. He goes to the back. He sees Rydia. He says hi. He's like, "Look, you're level 1. That's fantastic." He's like, yeah, maybe he's gonna take the Moon character too. It looks like he's gonna not take Porum here. Maybe drop a safety save down here with the Rydia and the party. Go up, check the character, and then decide whether he wants the Porum or the Yang or the Moon character.
Yeah, it might be checking to see if it ends up being Rosa on the Moon. Her high HP growth that'll happen during the in the grind would be a reason that you'd want to have her over Porum. Porum's advantage comes early in the seed. Dathus taking Porum early made sense there, but if you had the choice between the two for the grind, I think you usually choose Rosa.
I mean, the other thing is here, you might see another Black Mage up here. You see a second Rydia
Yeah.
here, and it's like, all right, well, that makes my decision real easy.
Yeah, good point.
You know, let's sling two Black Mages instead of a Black Mage and a White Mage for endgame.
Yeah, Nuke is a much faster charge time than White, and just going to be the preferred offensive spell going forward after the grind. And also having access to Quake is going to be real too. Having that on two characters if you need the AOE as well. So just very useful to have a Black Mage. So checking this character makes sense.
Microwaving your troubles is a valid strategy.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, like Quake for that Baigen is going to be real good as well, potentially. And oh, wow. There's
It is the Rydia.
There's the called shot. There's
Nicely done there.
Give me double summoner slingshot. This is amazing.
It's on.
Got to go back to Earth and set up the manipulation now, but we're gonna have double level 60 Rydia probably when all this is said and done.
Yeah, we're gonna have really strong summoners. You know what this is really? This is being confident in your ability in the Zeromus fight, because what we have in this fight, in this party here, is no pure white mage. The closest thing to a white mage you have is Tella, and he can throw a single target tier 4 to get a character fully healed, but he can't do that a whole lot. He doesn't have a lot of MP. If you do everything right, if you've got everything set up, generally you'll just get one nerfed Big Bang with a reflect strategy in the Zeromus fight. But there's not a whole lot of recovery options if that doesn't happen here. You got Chemist Sid, but you've got no real good AoE curing here.
Sure you do. Asura was for sale in the Land of Summon Monsters. Just go buy Asura.
Yeah, it can work.
67% of the time, it works every time.
Yes.
Yeah, he's actually probably looking for ethers now, just to make sure that he can complete his grind in one shot here.
Yeah, ethers are, again, the MP limitations of Tella coming into it. You're going to need to have him have more than 90 MP throughout the D machine grind. And there's some ether ones. 10 ether ones should probably be enough to get through it now.
Yeah, and they're way cheaper than the ether too. So now he's set. Now he's just gotta get his manipulation on, and then he can get his grind going.
Well, this is good. Dathus making that same play and heading over to Cave Magnus now. So he's going to get rewarded with that Darkness Crystal as well. So this isn't going to be something that Bakashinobi found that Dathus avoided, which could have been a real possibility, considering Cave Magnus is a bit out of the way and a lot of people try to avoid it if possible. So this is going to be good that Dathus is going to have access to that Darkness Crystal. He doesn't have the lit 3 for Odin, though.
Yeah, the Odin might be a little bit scary because it's, any other spell is basically going to do 1 damage, which means that he's going to be relying on getting this Sid through. He might do Edward strat, just hide the Edward and just try and pop the Edward out at the right timing to Thor Rage instant kill Odin potentially.
That might not be a bad choice of how to do it, as long as Dathus is a bit practice. I don't know whether or not that's a strategy that he's comfortable with doing as well. But that's definitely an option to take on this fight as well. I can talk.
Yeah, the timing is tough, so. So we're probably have this moment of setup and downtime here. Of course, would like to thank Nibari for handling our restream this afternoon again, and just Mano for handling the button push machine in the background that lets buttons get pushed. But now I'm going to can it while we get a replay of the music. So Berserk Sid puts on a show here. Odin raises the sword, Sid raises the axe. The axe is mightier. Uh, Dathus is going to get a Darkness Crystal here. Bakashinobi found the right fight, and this Earth Hammer doing a little bit more work because has absolutely no problem getting through the beamers here, and now probably just needs to take the Earth Hammer off to not accidentally kill the Searcher.
I really liked how Dathus handled that Odin fight there. Was relying on the Berserk Sid to deal the damage, but kept the Edward hidden just in case and could kind of audible into that plan if something went wrong and Sid fell. We still had the option of the timing on the Thor Rage for the insta kill as well. So well prepped and well played. Got the Darkness Crystal. And now is in kind of the same situation that Bakashinobi was in just a moment ago. Knows that there is a Tela available in Mysidia, so we're going to see what Dathus wants to do for his party composition at this time.
Yeah, I think the tough thing here for Dathus is that you grab the Tela, you grab a Rosa, or you grab a Radia potentially, and then you're working on like a single slingshot because you've leveled up your Edward, you've leveled up your Porum at this point.
Yeah,
which is not the worst, certainly. It's just it's what you got because you used the form to get you through the early game.
and so now if you've been watching any of the Highway to the Threemus zone up to now, you've probably seen a D machine grinder too. But basically, you do a low HP attack on this Searcher. That Thor Raid will just do 1 damage. That's nice. It's very low. The Searcher will summon a D machine. Tela casts Weak on the D machine, bringing it to single-digit HP. You deal some damage to it either by attack or a spell, and then throw any life potions as you can onto it as it dies, and just reap in the experience. Ooh, Death is choosing the more physical party by taking that Yang as the character that he's going to slingshot rather than Rydia. This means that you might not have to grind as high up a level as you do with the case of the Summoner.
Yeah, but with the slingshot, I think you only really need to do 9 D machines doubled with life glitches to end up getting 36 D machines worth of experience onto your onto your Rydias here. So it's I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, honestly. your Yang will get to the point where he's going to be really good. It's just a matter of, do you want to get him to, or low 50s, or do you want to get him to like 65?
If you can get him to that vaunted 6K HP level, I mean that's kind of where he maxes out there. But he's very strong at high levels. Uh, a bit of a weak character at the low levels. What am I saying? He's best. He's great at any level. Yeah. But not having access to like the two nuke casters that Baka was able to, I think this makes sense to go with the physical thing. You already got Sid in the party. You can use Tella, or depending on where you're leveling them, you've got that curse string. You can use Tella as your anchor, berserk a couple of characters. Yeah, I don't think this is a bad setup for him at all.
Yeah, it's real interesting to kind of see how this ends up playing out, certainly. So Baka just doing some patching up here with these extra tier 2s right now, making sure that his Tella's got mana. And Nerio gonna proc another D Machine and keep the loop going. Has 71 MP on Tella, so can do 2 D Machine loops here without any problems and kind of keep going.
Keeping an eye on Tella's MP is very important, especially if you're relying on Ether 1s. Because the amount of MP that they restore is... There's a random factor to it, and sometimes it can be in your favor and sometimes not.
Yeah, summoning a D Machine at a bad time when Tella's not ready to weak it can be really, really detrimental to your party's survival. Looks like Baka's happy with the number of D Machines that he has put away. Weaks the Searcher this time, and then hits it with the Hammer. 520,000 experience points. So for the Ridias, that's actually a cool million. Only gets 46 levels, though. Is a little bit shy, it looks like.
I wonder if he was running out of resources from Tella. If he bought 10 Ether 1s, it should have been enough to do another, like if he wanted to refill and do another D Machine, that should have been able to be done. But I wasn't paying super close attention either.
Now scratch that. Nuke was learned by one of the Ridias, so maybe I made a mistake there. But yeah, we've got Nuke online, so I thought it said 46. Maybe it said 56.
It might have said 56 then.
And a free hourglass 3 for your troubles. Thank you very much. No, it's exactly level 50. It was 49 levels.
Not bad.
Oh, he had 4 levels from the Baron area setting up. That's right, because he had to kill a couple of encounters. It wasn't enough to break the slingshot because they were like worth no experience.
Okay, well, good. Well, then you did have the keen eye with that 46 level increase. So.
No bit bosses left out there. Both sets of guards still exist. I think that's it. And dancing dolls still exist for no back row, or for the back row.
Have we seen Dark Imps yet?
And no, we have not seen Dark Imps yet.
So plenty of bosses.
We also haven't seen like all the moon bosses, but that's a different story for a different time.
Yeah, different kind of difficulty curve on those ones.
Yeah, now it is time to make these Ridias powerful, as they're going to get rune rings, and they're going to get Stardust and Lilith rods and armor and rune rings and helmets and back road, and yeah, it's party time now.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of nukes, a lot of quakes.
Dathus has the same idea here, goes to set up the D Machine Sling as well here. Starts working over some of these imps at this point. But yeah, the world right now is Baka's oyster. He's got the whole moon in front of him. He's got both Feymarch bosses. He's got Keyless Tower. He's got Dwarf Castle. He looks at the crystal for a moment. He looked at it. He took a good long look at it there.
I think moon would make some sense. There's just so many key items up there, but sometimes you just kind of play it by feeling. Like, where do I think I'm gonna find? Where am I gonna strike gold? It's like it's like you're panning for gold. Sometimes you hit it and sometimes you don't. You got to get the feel for where it's gonna be.
I mean, with Double Quake, that Beigen's looking killing fighting right now. Dwarf Castle's definitively fast, even though it's 2 bosses, so should be fine. Dathus is here. He's in the giant, so he is within the giant and heading on down to get his grind going as well.
I'd also mention that with a couple casters of nuke, that Kainazo at the top of the tower is not nearly as scary as it was when you were at low level.
First boss here in the Dwarf Castle is Yang. I heard Yang likes long walks on the microwave.
Yeah, I think he's going to be introduced to a nuke or two here.
Fire from the sky in 3, 2, 1. This is going to sting a little bit. Just comes up a little. 64-43, just missed it by that much.
Oh, don't worry, we've got a backup nuke coming.
The orbital laser continues.
Meanwhile, Dathus now in the grind fight. We see the Searcher Beamers, as so long as a D machine comes out afterwards, we are all set to go.
Second boss here is Dancing Doll Calbrena in the Oldez spot, channeling Quake. That's that for that.
Yeah, it turns out when you level your party to endgame levels, they're very strong.
Yeah, mid-game characters, mid-game bosses mean nothing to an endgame party, honestly.
Yeah. This is the insightful commentary you get from me. If you've got high levels, your characters are strong.
And if you don't have high levels, your characters are not as strong.
There you go, yeah.
I can't believe we got there.
So what was Luca wearing around her neck today? It was a rat tail. I don't know what I think about dwarven fashion, but whatever floats your boat, I guess.
I mean, look, if you worshipped the ancient dragon Bahamut, not this incarnation of Bahamut, but the last one, I mean, maybe you're just, showing that you like dragons and ordeals, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, Bakashinobi picking up that hovercraft right away wants to go ahead and go to the Adamant Grotto and see what you get for turning in that rat tail. Again, if it's the Adamant or if it's the pink tail, we are in go mode. It is not an Adamant or a pink tail, it is a ribbon.
Doesn't even take the hat. It's a good hat.
Looks like it's Keyless Tower next, so that Kainazo about to get nuked.
Yeah, I guess banking on being able to just climb up and reset out instantly if there's nothing there.
Meanwhile, Dathus now in that grind fight, getting those D machines down pretty easily here.
Yep, it's got Forum on Cure 2 duty as well to just patch up the damage from the Fire Blasts here, so looking pretty solid on this grind right now.
Yeah, that fire attack being the kind of the reason why it's possible to do this grind at levels. It only does a percentage of your HP as far as the damage that it deals, so it's never going to be like a threat as long as you're able to keep yourself healed. Over time, it'll do enough damage to kill you, of course, but if you start the fight pretty full, you're going to be okay. Now, if you end up mistiming and you attack it before the weak happens, then it'll punch normally and that'll hurt.
Yeah, it's going to be almost generally pretty lethal to any party member here, but Kainazo is going to survive the first pair of microwave shots here probably, but taking off 15,000 of Kainazo's prodigious health pool here will greatly soften up the first wave. If we see it at all, because he's now hiding.
Ooh, avoided the wave altogether. Went straight to the remedy, so it wasn't going to be an impressive wave, but it's even less impressive than that.
The only waving that we're going to be doing is we're going to be waving goodbye to Kainatsu, as this will be the end for him.
And tonight we dine on turtle soup straight from the microwave.
Tonight we get a silent staff from Kainazo and reset instantly.
Might be Fey March bosses next if Baka wants to stay on the blue planet. Looks like it might be a trip to the moon instead.
Where did I park? So Fey March gets completely avoided here by Bakashinobi. It'll be real interesting to see if Dathus decides to do it. That could be the divergence that pays here, but we shall see, certainly. Bakashinobi going to Value Town, Cave Value.
If Dathus had picked up an Ice Claw anywhere, then that Rubicant becomes a lot more appealing a target if you've got that weakness that you can exploit with a high-level Yang.
Yeah, it's really funny because Bakashinobi's got the right party with the spellcasters for dusting off the two bosses in the Fey March, but instead finds a freebie up here for his troubles. Finds Baron's guards, so the double guards are here waiting. So I guess we're gonna cash out an Hourglass here and then maybe cast some Fatals and get some experience points that we don't really need.
Or go straight to Stone because you've got high-level Iridias.
And we don't even need experience points.
Nope.
$35,000 gold.
That's the first check in a while that Baka hasn't instantly reset out of.
I don't think he saved when he got up here.
Ah, okay, yeah, it doesn't want... That animation is probably longer, yeah. If he didn't save before then, yeah.
Dathus has got to be coming kind of close to the end of this grind here, certainly. I know he's probably taking a little bit of extra time because he's got to get his Porum to probably to comfortable levels here, honestly. Wants probably to get her to 52 for white. So he's going to take a little bit extra time grinding.
Bakashinobi now making the dive into the lunar subterrane. I believe you're a big fan of the top-bottom, or you like the middle, don't you?
My routing is weird. My routing is do Crystal Sword Altar first because it's the weakest spot up here.
But looks like it's a top-down choice for Bakashinobi heading over to the vanilla Murasame altar first.
Maybe feeling a little bit behind after getting nothing out of the early aggressive Baron play and then getting nothing out of the underground at this point. Maybe just deciding it's time to be super aggressive and do top-down instead of maybe doing chalk and going bottom-up. We'll see.
Yeah, it could be that. Could be just like feeling the pressure after having, I think, 3 or 4 picks in a row, key item checks in a row that have turned out to be just nothing. So just wants to get a little bit more aggressive here. Dathus is done with his grind.
Leaving Edward dead for anchoring gets the levels on Tella, 52 exactly on Porum, so yeah, that was the plan.
Yep, right at that level 52 on Porum, so it looks like he's doing pretty good and gonna ride that Edward in the middle as the anchor. Tilla's gonna hang out still because that's what he does now.
Well, Tele becomes important in this party comp in these flags because now you can run double Zerker, double Zerk caster, like
Yeah.
your Forum cast Berserk, your Telecast Berserk, and then your Milliers are online. So that ends up being kind of really smart, just using Edward as your anchor instead, because you have a Cursed Ring and keeping Tela alive. Because hey, 1100 hit point Tela still can cast Berserk. It's fine.
Yeah, that's a good point. Having the two casters there and prioritizing Tela over Edward does make sense in this particular situation. Since we never found like a top tier bow or anything like that, there wasn't even a thought to think like maybe I should keep Edward as one of my strong characters at the end. No, you're not going to Zerk him up. Just let him be the anchor. Don't worry about it.
Cursed Ring Tela doing 335 damage with that Ice 3. I'm fairly impressed.
Busting out the strong magics for that Tela there.
Server falls to the microwave here. Big volley of reflected spells does the job. Dathus goes immediately to Dwarf Castle as well, and Bakashinobi is rewarded for going topside down. Pinktail, go mode. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, not a whole lot that Baka needs to do at this point. Just turn in that Pinktail. He's got endgame levels, so should be able to go right over to Toria and make use of that pass to get to Threemus very shortly here.
Man,
So
that was
this is not good news for Dathus.
No, this is a very fast moon play from Baka, just zipping right up and second try getting the Pinktail. And we know that Dathus is going to get nothing here, so Dathus in trouble. Baka in the driver's seat here, gonna grab the airship and then drive over to Silvera. Man, Rex, it's been a fun race. Hour 24 minutes. Bach is about to get the crystal in hand here. I guess it's time for... there's a thing we do at this point once we get the crystal in a pass and a party that's fully leveled. I forget what we do, though, at this point.
Well, we're going to be asking a question. That question is one that's a bit contentious, but I think enough people like it that I think we'll continue to ask it. That question is, whose butt are we going to kick today?
Yeah, there's a lot of butts in the pool at this point.
Yeah, pool full of butts is what we've got, and one of them is going to be the one that gets to be kicked by this team. We got a couple of Rydias, a Sid, an Edward, and a Tela, and they are going to do what they can to try to win in this final conflict to save the world.
Setting up the party so that the Rydias go 4th and 5th here instead of 1st and 2nd, like in most fights, because Tela, interestingly enough, the middle character, because we have RA1, will go first and likely just throw the crystal out here. So probably the line out here is going to be throw crystal, throw Star Veil, throw Silk Web, start firing away.
I think that's generally the wisdom in this. So you don't need to waste either of your Rydia's turn with any setup. They can be focused on just casting nukes that'll get reflected and deal damage to Threemus. So now Dathus is now going to be on that rat tail journey. The question is, when will Dathus decide to go up to the tower? Because that's where we know that I got things messed up in my mind. Sorry about that, everybody.
Yeah, so Dathus, like you said, is going to go just find the ribbon from the rat's tail here and get a whole lot of nothing for his troubles. But let's see who we got on Bakashinobi's side here.
I don't know. I think, as far as I'm concerned, this should be Robotnikmus.
I don't know. Eggman's cooler. So
Looks
yeah,
like we're
go ahead.
gonna nerf this first Big Bang with a direct cast nuke. Get lucky with that counter nuke hitting Tella. That's if it hit Tella or Edward, it was going to be great.
Yeah, even gonna kamikaze the Edward here for an extra 1,000 damage and to get Edward out of the queue. Not terribly interested in any characters that are not named Rydia taking actions here, certainly. Dathus is going to find this water hag down at Baron Castle, not knowing that it was already done by Bakashinobi, and he's going to find a free boss and just drop it, but get nothing for his troubles.
Yeah, this is being about as efficient as you can by taking out that Edward there. Don't have to deal with what you're going to input on his turns, any ticks that might have passed by on the clock. So it's just going to be Rydia, Sid. Sid's going to throw a little bit of healing out there just in case, but really is just going to be waiting for the Rydias to do the nuking, and that's what we really care about in this fight. Here comes the most dangerous time of this fight. The second shake from Threemus here. When that Big Bang comes out, it will not be nerfed.
Yeah, so it's either this gets the kill, which is great, right? Fight's over. Right? This doesn't get the kill, but you're banking on Iridia surviving. A little scary. Do you maybe point the crystal there? Oh no, he just takes the reset.
Took the reset.
Interesting.
Wow. I guess I don't know what he's got for equipment. I know there's the rune rings, the crystal ring. Seems like there's at least a chance that one of the Rydias would survive a Big Bang. I mean, not a great chance. I think they're at what, about 1700 HP. Yeah, I think if you had been healing the Rydias as Sid was, then you might as well check to see what the damage is beforehand.
Maybe he just thought his numbers were too low. I don't know. There's options there. Like you could consider maybe again pointing the crystal at Threemus to get a no damage nerf, and see if maybe nerfing the Big Bang. If it hits Sid, you get 2 more nukes off. If it hits one of the Rydias, you get 1 more nuke off, and then you sort of recover things. But you can't really second guess it at this point in time. He just decides he's going to take a second crack at it here.
Yeah, once you hit the reset button, you're committed to the second play without a doubt. It looks like Dathus is going to make the play down to the Fame March bosses. Now, if Baka continues to have problems and Dathus ends up finding the adamant down here, we could get a race again.
This is true. This is a pretty heavy divergence here from Dathus now.
And these are the few Blue Planet checks that Bakashinobi did not make, are these 2 Fame March bosses. I think we must not have found silk webs here, and that might have been part of what's maybe been compounding the problem. Without that little extra bit of the double slow that the that the silk webs provide, the timing might not have been as favorable as Baka wanted it to be that first time around. So we'll see if there's any change in the strategy. Once again, that counter nuked right for Tella.
Maybe the intent was to use Tele to cast slow. I don't know.
That's a possibility.
But not really, because you're direct nuking with Rydia. Maybe I'm, mention it.
Ooh, just an Avenger sword from the Baigan over there in Dathus. We'll see if he decides to go against this Rubicante as well.
You kind of have to. I mean, you're not going to save you're not going to save the Avenger. You don't need the experience, so might as well just go right in.
Yeah, this Rubicant is a scary prospect, but at least Yang has like maybe about 5 or 10 HP shy of infinity, so at least there's that.
Casually swings for 3,300. The counter fire does 100 damage. So as long as Yang doesn't get glared here, Yang could get glared here and still be like, yeah, I'm probably all right.
Sid survives the glare, and he is the second highest HP on the team. So it looks like this time around for Bakashinobi, instead of using that kamikaze on Edward, decided to hide him instead. This time, if a really bad Big Bang comes out, he might be able to recover or transition into Edward strats as well.
Or both Radius could survive and this fight's over.
Yeah, that's always a possibility as well.
Delaying a nuke cast for Black Hole. Sharp. Make sure that he doesn't take a unnecessary microwave shot at Sid, which would kill him a lot.
You got to be close to the end here for Baka here.
$94.86. Roll like a champ. Let's get our GGs out in chat for Bakashinobi, who wraps us up in an hour 35 flat. Only that one wipe on Threemus might be the only blemish on this seed. This played pretty darn well.
Yeah. And I believe we are joined by Bakashinobi. GG's on your win today, Baka. Ooh, not currently hearing you, Baka, so...
Oh, right, I'm sorry. I turned on push to talk for other things and forgot I still had it on. Yeah, the wife on Threemus was a real brain fart moment of, I want to nerf this Big Bang. Why didn't a nerf come out? Oh, I'm an idiot. Yeah, Rydia's health is always scary, but I should have just accepted that was going to be a thing.
You did have some decent gear for her magic defense as well. I know you had at least a crystal ring and a rune ring, right?
I had 2 rune rings, which were on Rydia, and the crystal ring stayed on Sid the entire game, I think, because I like Sid to be a bit faster. I was impressed when Sid with the crystal ring was still getting outspeeded by Edward in lower priority slots. But that was certainly a seed.
So tell me what you thought about it. I mean, you were one key item away from go mode very early at this seed.
Starting with the hook was a this is going to be fun moment. Seeing the pass in Antlion Cave was a, oh, this is going to be a real fun moment. And then not seeing the pink tail or the adamant for an hour was a, all right, Seed, thanks for giving me the heart attack. We can finish this now. That start was interesting. For a hook route, it was very nice. Baron Castle being a complete and utter bait was... I should have guessed when King Queen Evelyn was there. It's like, this is free. This will be fine. And then it's King Queen Evelyn into Golbez, and I was wise to the game's tricks and was able to hide Edward fast enough, which was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, like everything really fell into your lap at that point. You had that Earth Hammer for the fire damage. You had the Crystal Ring to avoid the hold, and you were able to get that hide off right away. Edward was in the right spot. And so that Golbez fight, even though you didn't know that it was coming, everything went perfect for you right there.
Yeah, that was definitely really fortunate. I really wanted that Ogre Axe, but I saw I'm not going to be able to sell enough to go and get stuff. Went to Castle Evelyn, just like, all right, give me loot and money so I can buy a good weapon for Sid, and found the Earth Hammer. It's like, well, I'm okay going in, just not buying that Ogre Axe now.
Yeah, and you kept that hammer equipped for basically the rest of the seed, right?
Yeah, I think I switched off when I discovered, to my surprise, the electric fish are flying type.
Yes.
And I shot them with arrows to make sure, because, yeah, that was a bit annoying.
That also happened to give you a back row glitch on Sid, which I don't think you had set up at that point, so that was actually kind of double useful for you.
Yeah, that was the main reason why I was doing it. I was doing it to set up the back row glitch, but I was a bit annoyed at the fact that there are barren waterway enemies that are flying. That's new to me. I was also pleased when like Grimar pulled out a Jin instead of something like Imp.
It was certainly enough, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so this puts you to 1-1. After a tough loss to Possum Morpheus earlier. So now you're back in the winning column. What are your thoughts on this sort of round of the tournament and what you need to do in order to advance?
In general, I think I should have been punished more for not picking up characters as long as I did, but the seeds kind of let me get away with it. It's my general thoughts are you don't need to completely fill out your party, but you shouldn't be leaving open spots for as long as I did. I was able to go and get through a lot of stuff without needing to add characters, and I wasn't excited by any of them. It's not unreasonable, especially with telling your party, it's not unreasonable to just add Sid and Porum to your party and go from there. And it can work, but Double Nuke's really nice. I really like that. And when I was never pushed or punished hard for not having additional characters, I just kept pushing it more and more. So that's an interesting line on these flags. Otherwise, the treasures are... You really need to go and get used to dealing with less. Finding that Cursed Ring and the Dancing Dagger was a big shot in the arm. And, well, the Dancing Dagger was in Evelyn Castle, I think, so that didn't really go and help out much. Well, it helped out a bit on the overworld, but it was mostly the Earth Hammer at that point.
Yeah, but, I think that Dancing Dagger cleaned up the crocodiles in that all-gauntlet fight.
Edward got punched twice, and it's like, well, sorry. Yeah, that's probably the nicest place to have the Alt Gauntlet, because you have to do it, pretty much. It's not like you're going to skip that objective and try and find, an adamant or something, so you just grit and bear that Alt Gauntlet, and Tello's behind it, so you really want to keep them. The Baron Key was surprisingly obnoxious, but I guess it didn't even cost me too much time. But mages do a lot, but Rydia was still doing pretty tepid damage at the end, unfortunately, which is really unfortunate for her. But currently, I like the flags.
Dimmer, did you have any other questions for Bakashinobi?
So not really, actually. I mean, nice run, certainly, Baka. I mean, you didn't play bad against Possum Morpheus, and then, again, today, real solid run from top to bottom. So GG, well-deserved victory today.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for doing commentary, and Neobari for restreaming, and Joseph Manhow for tracking. Good luck for the rest of the race, and I hope Dathus is able to go and push through. The seed was weird and rude in certain ways.
Without a doubt. But once again, GG's, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for letting us watch your race today.
Always happy to.
All right, that was Bakashinobi, our winner of today's race. We're going to go ahead and cheer on Dathus as he goes through it. Hopefully, after he gets past these guards, he's going to go top down and be rewarded with that pink tail before too long as well.
I mean, I also caught where the adamant was in the credits roll. I was paying attention to the credit roll, so I do know where that is as well.
Oh, you've got some secret knowledge then, because I was not paying attention to that.
Yep, I'm not going to tell you then, because you weren't paying attention. So
that
now you'll never know.
That's completely fair. That is on me, and I'll accept that.
Like, doing commentary on the Threemus fight, and then, like, explaining what Dathus is doing, and talking to Bakashinobi. It's not like you were busy or anything.
No, I had plenty of time to figure out exactly where that was, and I just didn't do it. Lots of different spells. Not able to just one-shot stone these guards as reliably as Baka was with his Rydias, but a number of spells help get these guards down easily enough for Dathus. Gets that crystal armor and just does the reset here. He did save up on the moon, so was able to do the reset out of there, and now is going to be heading over to the lunar subterrane.
So yeah, so we'll see which way Dathus decides to take this moon party here. I'm gonna save outside after the cutscene because it's good to save outside after the cutscene just in case.
Yeah, that if you do end up taking a wipe here, that does save time without a doubt. And now the decision looks like he is going probably to the bottom. Maybe he'll make the Demerant play and go right to the Crystal Sword altar.
Nobody makes that play, like, ever.
The only time that I make that play is if Conquer the Vanilla Crystal Sword altar is in objective.
Yeah, and what's the fun in that?
Yeah, I know, it doesn't really count in that case.
Right, then it's not like completely deciding to Galaxy Brain the seed and get
Right.
lucky or something. See, Dathus is just gonna do the chalk thing here as well and just dip straight to the bottom and ignore the Wyvern altar that we all love and should always do first, and just gonna use the save point. I guess maybe do Ribbon altar first because that's what everybody does.
Yeah, it looks like going with the conventional play of where there's a lot of key item checks right next to each other. Like, why would you want to do that?
I don't know. Goes to the White Spear altar and finds Ogopogo.
Oh.
So here's the hard bosses that we've been missing this entire seed.
Yeah, you mentioned a number of times we haven't seen these moon bosses. Oh, maybe they're on the moon. And Ogopogo is. There are very few places where you want to see Ogopogo.
Yeah, I don't want to see Ogopogo anywhere, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I think I saw Ogopogo shopping last week at the grocery store and used Big Wave on the cashiers. It wasn't cool. It's the answer to everything. It's really annoying. Thankfully, the spot doesn't have a ton of health, but man, Ogopogo swinging for 1800 on the front row is a little scary still.
Luckily, this is where Porum with the Cure 4 helps out a bit. Gonna be tough to... Not enough to fill up Yang there, but it takes a lot to fill up Yang.
I mean, direct cast Cure 4 always heals you to full.
That's the easy way. But yeah, Dathus was in a pretty rough place near the beginning of this fight, but has recovered pretty well, I must say.
Yeah, and with all those levels, Yang and Sid are hitting pretty hard at this point, so should be alright.
It's like with each of these melee hits, I think that it's going to be the last. And finally, Yang knocks out Ogopogo for the win there, and we will see what he gets rewarded with. It is the tower key.
Gonna keep clearing the moon, though. You know, tucks the tower key in his back pocket here and is gonna head over to the Ribbon Altar, where he finds the 4 Elements fight, which, you know, lots of health. Let's see what the strat is here.
You know, if you've got a high level Yang, you just want to turn him berserk, don't you? At least that's what Dathus is thinking here.
Yeah, just set your guys loose and let them do the damage.
Hopefully they'll be strong enough to whittle down this Rubicon form of the elements fight before the target all glare happens. That's the scariest part of this fight, in my opinion. Ooh. 8,800 on an Ice 3 from Tella? He must have that Stardust Rod equipped.
He's just flexing at this point.
Those are some damage numbers you don't usually see from Tella, but just a Moon Veil and a Sand Ruby, and there's the reset. But that means he doesn't have that tower key now.
And he's gonna pass up the Ogopogo spot. Looks like maybe going back up to the Wyvern spot first.
Yeah, it certainly appears that way. And now we're going to see the boss in this position here.
Like just Dark Elf.
There are a lot of bosses that would be a lot scarier in this spot than Dark Elf.
Yeah, there's very few bosses that are super scary at this point if you've already got your grind done, but this is still a little tough.
All right, we got to me change, and that generally makes the fight a lot easier. The Dark Elf is, in most places, I've found the Dark Elf is scarier in elf form than in dragon form. Especially since you can use spells like Stop or Weak on him at this point.
Yeah, weak being the big one, of course, setting his health to, within range of being instantly killed. Not that it matters terribly much here. So down goes Dark Elf. We'll see what the reward is for this.
Maybe an unfortunate reward was 11 levels for Edward, but he might just reset if it's not what he wants.
It's a Ninja Star.
That's a reset.
2 moon spots left at this point. You've got the Pale Dim Altar, and you've got the Ogopogo Altar at the bottom.
Looks like Ogopogo's going to be the next check.
And the boss waiting down here at the Ogopogo Altar is just Dark Knight Cecil, so I would go AFK, take a minute, chat a bit, relax, have a good time. Also, Edward's dead, so this is great.
Yeah, I think Yang's going to be okay at this one.
Yang might survive 3 waves from Dark Knight Cecil here, yeah.
And there's the adamant.
Moon was required. I believe I said at the start of the seed that, that we were looking for possibly a seed where, half of Objective 1 and half of Objective 3 were on the moon.
Yeah, you got that too. You've been really good with your prognostications this seed.
The one time ever, right? Like, that never happens, so take that, I guess.
Well, it definitely doesn't happen to me when I'm actually racing.
Oh, no. If I'm actually on the controller, forget it. Like, forget it. I'm checking everything but what I need to check. Like...
So, like Baka, Dathus already at in-game levels, so hightailing it back to the blue planet, gonna go underground to Kokol's Forge and complete objective number 1.
Yeah, that will be Dathus's go with that.
We'll see if we get a treat of seeing what's in the Kokol shop here. Because sometimes you can get some good buy-in there. Yeah. And nothing you need. I mean, Dathus didn't need anything, but at least you got to see a peek.
Got an Excalibur, too.
And a crystal.
Okay,
Pretty nice haul.
That one's way more important.
And here we are, parking right outside Toria in the Northwest Forest. Cash in that pass, and we're going to see another boss fight.
So here we go. So again, likely this is going to be a setup with the two Berserkers carrying the day. Just going to get Sid and Yang online and let them do their thing, which is, just work their way through Zeromus' hit point pool.
Yep, and then just heal up with Porum. Might have Edward hide to revive Porum if necessary. But that's about it, yeah. Should be set up well. Got the 6k HP on Yang. Over 4,000 for Sid, so we've got some beefy boys in the front row right here.
And so here we go, Edward going to throw the crystal and the setup begins. Let's get this going.
Ooh, interesting. Looks like Dathus was able to find a silk web, which is something that I don't think Bakashinobi ever found.
It's not really strictly necessary if you're doing RA1 strats.
No.
But, it's always nice to have.
And then Sid's berserked, and both berserkers online now. And now, as much as Edward and Tella were on this team, this is the actual squad that Dathus is going to be using for this fight.
Yeah, if it comes down to needing to re-berserk Sid, not a big deal. Or re-berserk Yang, you've got Porum for that. You're doing about a little over 5,000 a cycle, it looks like here. So not bad damage. So, should just be able to tear through this pretty easily.
Yeah, I imagine might see one more big bang, but this damage output is pretty good for a Zerker strategy. You see the double shake from Threemus means we've tripped over into the second phase, a phase that we didn't see in Bakashinobi. When you do pure reflex strats, you skip the phase change and the HP refill, but the speed that you can do Zerk damage often makes it worth it. Ooh, and a bit of a high roll takes Porum out. That might not matter. These two Zerkers might be able to just carry the day.
Yeah, they're just sort of... The black hole's a little annoying here because now you're going to lose your berserking, though, so it's going to be a little off, but should be fine.
Yeah, now it might be... With the black hole, it might be worth it to revive Porum and go for that, and there's the single target nuke. That shouldn't be enough to take out Yang, and it isn't.
Yeah, so it does decide to pop back up Porum here, raises her up, gets her healed up. Gonna re-berserk Gang here, like mentioned, 4,000 punches will continue until the boss is dead. Bit of a scary shake here. I mean, now with the party a little bit lower on health, it's not really what you wanted to see, but the Meteor is gonna probably assuage most of Dathus' fears about finishing this fight.
Yeah, I got the shake, but not the big bang before the Meteor, so should be good from here. And there is the flash. GG's, Dathus has finished in a time of 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 16 seconds. I believe we are now being joined by Dathus. GG's, Dathus.
GG's, guys.
So, you went on a wild goose chase for that last key item that you needed. Went about everywhere before you found that adamant, huh?
Man, if there's anything left in the seed aside from the resets, I don't know what is.
Well, the other key item was also on the moon. The other place that you didn't check, the pale dim spot, was the location of the pink tail. So
Yeah, it comes up in the spoiler log, and I saw that, and I just shook my head. I'm like, never ever doubt the top down, and I would have gotten that first. But that mostly free Dark Knight Cecil was pretty fun.
Yeah. So yeah, this was an interesting race. You decided to go with the Berserkers at the end. It was a while before you found that darkness crystal. Tell me what you were thinking of when it came to your selection of characters and who you were going to take to the end.
So obvious Eddie, because I looked at him and went, all right, so you're my anchor. That's just how it's going to be, especially after finding the cursed ring in Watery Pass. I'm like, okay, this leaves him as a full anchor. I don't have to worry about him. I like having a white mage like 100% of the time because it just gives me that little bit extra leeway on bad things. As you saw during that Zeromus fight when she went down, was able to get everybody back up. And then it's just, I need somebody who I know can kind of carry me through the overworld. Maybe somebody who's got some okay damage. Kane, Sid are really good options. Yang is an all right option, but I'm seeing him more beneficial for slingshotting reasons or when you're in the middle of your grind. So my top priority characters are starting to become like Kane and Sid because they have such great and wide weapon options, and Ogre Axes and Poison Axes are kind of just like very prominent in the areas. Like you'll occasionally find a Blizzard Spear somewhere, which makes Kane even better. But yeah, that's basically what I'm looking for. It's like a bruiser to get me through. If I find nothing but mages, then it's what's got to happen, though.
Well, that's cool, but you decided to go with like you mentioned you like slingshotting on the Yang more, and slingshot you did. He ended up with a very high HP pool and doing a lot of damage on the Zeromus, so he did his limited job very well.
Yeah, he's good for three things. His high HP pool, as you mentioned, being slingshot to do crazy damage with no gear, and hitting elemental weaknesses. I didn't need him for the first two, for the first and last, and the middle one. Well, he did a great job. I needed him to do all the damage on Zeromus essentially, because I was looking at what I had options. It was slingshot the Rydias, which I only had room for if I was going to do a D machine grind, which I kind of saw that darkness crystal and like, okay, this is happening. Yeah. There was one character and one Rydia plus a Sid plus everybody else was like that's a medium team. I'd rather just go two bruisers with high HP, knowing that I can leave them alone if they hit with a counter nuke, if they get into nuke into Big Bang and then Meteor phase. Like I can leave these guys alone. They do respectable damage in their own right, so it's a great.
So, did you have any other final thoughts about today's race, or where you're at? I mean, you clawed your way into this table by winning that hook number 2 race. So, just kind of wondering where you're at now that you're in this table round.
Still amazed that I'm here. It's a lot of great runners, and it's going to be a hard-fought fight. Speaking of my next one's even against Zilch, and I've got a lot of scary people that I'm up against, but I'm fairly confident to get at least a couple of wins. If I make it to top 16, I'm going to be very lucky.
Dimmer, did you have any other questions for Dathus?
No, I didn't. I mentioned the only thing I really do have to say is that I mentioned that you might not have got a lot of practice compared to everybody else, but do you have a plan for maybe getting yourself ready for your next race before you get on out there?
A couple more practice seeds, rewatching the VODs and seeing where people are differentiating in some spots and where I may have been able to do a little bit better. And I've been hearing more talk of Castle Eblin being a better spot, which is very interesting because I saw it as a better spot in Fabul Gauntlet, not here, and apparently it's rose more in prominence here occasionally, so that's something I'm looking at.
Well, thank you for talking to us today, and good luck in your next race.
Thanks very much again. Shout outs to you guys for doing the commentary, Joseph Mano for doing the tracking, and Neobari for rolling this not quite dumpster fire of a seed, but a very fantastic seed to be done.
All right. Well, GG's Dathus, and have a good day now.
Thanks. You guys too.
Well, this was a fun race to watch, don't you think so, Demery?
Yeah, this is real interesting. This went a lot of different places.
Yeah, it really did. We saw, like, it was a seed that really funneled you in the early place. There wasn't a whole lot of options, and then it kind of exploded. And we had a couple of real differences in the parties earlier, and that kind of really contributed to the strategy that would play out at the end. That permajoin really throwing a wrench into the parties that the people have in these table rounds.
Yeah, that did definitely shook up this race a lot and ended up on two very different parties based on whether you wanted an early white mage or not, which is really neat.
And that's going to be about it for today's race. We are going to send you on over to Radio Hupfen, who's playing Free Enterprise right now. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, and before we skip out, though, just to let you know, yeah, the Free Enterprise party don't stop. It's, we're full bore for the rest of the evening as well. 9 p.m. Randomania 3 will be Silverfire versus Flurry 14, and then also tonight at 10 p.m. on the Free Enterprise channel right here, head on back for Slippery 42 versus Possum Morpheus. 2 more great races tonight, 3 more on the docket for tomorrow. So, yeah, thank you all for your support.
Yeah, you're not going to want to miss them. These table rounds have been hype.